What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto fell for a hot mysterious ninja who hated him at first sight? If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments. And also check the description to original creator of this beautiful creation. Land of Grass is a small country between two major countries of Hai no Kuni, Land of Fire, and Tsuchi no Kuni, Land of Earth. Two shinobis from Konohagakure is seen entering the border of the said country. One is a tall man in his 50s, with waist-length spiky white hair that is tied back into a ponytail. A red vertical line marking under both of his eyes, a few wrinkles around the corner of his mouth, and a wart on the side of his nose. His attire consists of a matching sage green kimono and a red haori. His name is Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin of Konohagakure. Walking beside him is his apprentice, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto is young boy 15 of age. He has a yellow-blonde spiky hair, and cerulean blue eyes. He has this distinctive 3 horizontal whisker markings on each side of his cheeks. He wore a matching orange and black tracksuit, with orange being the majority. Alright Gaki, we'll have a quick stop over at the village of Taki before we return back to Konoha, said Jiraiya as the two continued their pace towards the town. Man, why do we need to go there, Ero Sennin? I thought we're heading back to Konoha Datbeo. Jiraiya gained a tick mark by the blonde's nickname towards the old sage. Will you stop calling me that, you damn brat? The sage scolded his apprentice. Although he is used to being called that for the last few years, he still gets annoyed by it sometimes. Yeah, if you stop being a perv, retorted the blonde. He was excited to go back after 2.5 years of training with the sage. He misses his friends, his teammate, Konohamaru gang, Ichiraku family, Tsunade Ba-chan, and others precious to him. Ignoring the comment, the sage continued. Besides, my informant told me some information regarding the Akatsuki's hideout somewhere in this country. Naruto now cited that there'd been a sudden change of plan. Instead of returning back to Konoha from their 2.5 years of training and traveling, there's a sudden visit to the neighboring country regarding the movements and information of a known terrorist group that'd been hunting him and others like him. It's the reason why he went on a training trip, so that he could defend himself and bring a certain duck-haired Uchiha back to Konoha. The two have been traveling for hours until they reached the nearby town. Tired from their journey, the two searched for the nearest inn that they'll settle for the night. After checking into the nearby inn and setting down their baggage, the old toad sage quickly left without warning the teen. Naruto got back from the bathroom as he's changed to his pajamas. He noticed that his perverted of a sensei is gone. Damn, Ero Sennin probably doing his so-called research. Can't just wait until we just return back home. Naruto whined childishly to himself before lying down to his futon and quickly fell asleep. It was always like this during his trip with the sage. Who could blame the blonde? He's excited to return home to see his friends again, but was postponed by a sudden stopover. It's not like they're stopping for a week or so, right? Well, he was wrong. It turned out that they will be staying for a week or two before returning back to Konoha. Alright Gaki. I will be out in search for the Akatsuki's hideout somewhere outside the village, Jiraiya informed Naruto after he woke up in the morning. He explained what happened while he was gone last night, and by the intel he gathered by his informant, it might take a week investigating the Akatsuki's whereabouts. Wait, you're not peeking into woman's bathhouse last night? He questioned the obvious by being dumbfounded, because most of the time the old perv was doing research. Well, that was what he thought. Jiraiya rubbed the bridge of his nose, a sign of frustration the Sannin have right now. You still haven't learned a thing or two in managing a spy network, he let out a sigh. Anyway, continue training yourself while I'm away, and don't get yourself any trouble while I'm gone. Jiraiya warned him, the last part in which the blonde nodded. Naruto was known for being unpredictable and a troublemaker. He's the optimum of a trouble magnet. Jiraiya hoped that nothing bad will happen while he's gone. After Jiraiya left in search for the Akatsuki's hideout, Naruto went outside the town into a nearby forest to continue to train. For 2.5 years of training under the tutelage of the Toad Sannin, he was not only taught in refining his taijutsu and controlling the Kyuubi's chakra, but in other shinobi arts as well. He was able to improve some flaws in his taijutsu by being taught his father's taijutsu style, which doesn't rely on hand seals, thus the creation of Rasengan, but he still haven't fully mastered it, as the said jutsu requires one hand to perform, and he still needed the assistance of clones to create one. The fourth's taijutsu deals with speed and reflexes to execute devastating strikes against his opponents. Also, while not completely mastering his affinity, the young teen knows a few futon tricks under his sleeves. Flashback. It's been half a year after they left Konoha on a 3 years training trip, and all the Toad Sannin was teaching him was improving his taijutsu flaws and how to control the Kyuubi's chakra. You could say that the old pervert was busy doing some research and peeking into woman's bathhouse rather than training him. Oi Ero Sennin, I'm tired of this chakra control stuff. All we did was taijutsu and chakra control. Teach me some cool new jutsu stuff instead of just peeking into woman's bathhouse. Datbeo. A 13-year-old Naruto whined, but the Sannin shrugged him. He was rather busy giggling and scribbling in his notebook doing his precious research. And by means of research, the pervert was just peeking into a small hole watching fine woman bath in the hot spring. For months of traveling, the Toad Sannin just instructed the young boy on what to do and leave him to figure it out himself. Self-training was his teaching method, and only leaving small clue to let his loud apprentice figure it out himself, because he was either busy gathering intel regarding the Akatsuki's movements in a brothel or going to a nearby hot spring to peek on woman bathing for reference in his precious novels, but mostly he's busy with the latter though. Unlike his last student, which is a prodigy, the brat was dumb enough not to piece together those clues, which he really couldn't blame, as Naruto's education and training is sabotaged during his academy days. He even gave a clue on how the Kage Bunshin really works, which is a great cheat since Naruto have large reserves that will help him speed up his training 100-folds faster. Sometimes he wished that the brat got his intelligence more from his father. Well, at least the brat got his battle genius in the field like his father, which could formulate strategies and backup plan in a seconds. If the Sannin could describe his apprentice, personality-wise he got his airheaded and hot-headed traits from his mother, while during battle he's more like his father. The blonde was tired sparring with his clones and some chakra control exercises. He wanted to learn some cool new moves and jutsu to further expand his arsenal, but whenever he asked his sensei to teach him some awesome jutsu, the perv just insist on letting him master or improve the Rasengan, clone sparring, or some chakra control exercises. While he was improving and getting stronger, it was not enough from him and wanted to improve his arsenal. Naruto left no choice but to force his perverted sensei to focus on his training more, so he threw a rock at the peeking Sannin that caught the perv's attention. "Can't you see I'm busy doing my research here, you damn brat?" Jiraiya yelled and glared at his student while rubbing the back of his head where the rock hit him, a rock that had the size of a Rasengan. Now that he caught his teacher attention, Naruto let out a mischievous smirk while performing a ram seal oiroke no jutsu. Naruto then transformed to his completely naked, slightly older female alter ego without the mist that covered sensitive private parts. Yep, he done this without some mist. This let the pervert jaw drop with his eyes forming in a heart shape. This jutsu should be classified as S rank or possibly XXX rank since it works most of the time. Heck, he even knocked out a Kage with it a day after his graduation, and he was planning on making a reverse version for women. Who knows, it might save the world from a crazy goddess in the future or something. "Jiraiya-sama tilde, would you help this poor soul please?" he or she said in a sultry female voice while doing a post and winked. Jiraiya couldn't handle it anymore and was knocked away into the woman's bathhouse with a trail of blood running out of his nose. Naruto cancelled the jutsu and was laughing his ass off in the ground by the perverted reaction of his sensei. He heard female screams and beatings inside the hot spring, which let him laugh more at his sensei's antics. He knew the pervert deserved it. The two sat into a nearby field resting. Jiraiya wrapped into bandages from the beating he received from all the women inside the bathhouse, and some of them were kunoichis. "Alright brat, what do you want for you to ruin some fine research material out there?" he asked in an annoyed tone while rubbing some sore parts in his body from the beatings he received. Naruto smiled and said, "I want to learn some cool jutsu, cooler than the Rasengan," he chirped while keeping his grin to himself. The Sannin sided at the hyperactive blonde in defeat. Alright, but first I want to know what your affinity is," he asked his student, but was given a dumbfounded look by the young blonde. "You don't know what's your affinity, do you?" he questioned, gaining a nod from the blonde. The old sage reached some chakra paper and gave it to the blonde while instructing. "Alright, I want you to channel your chakra into this paper," said Jiraiya as he gave Naruto chakra paper, as he explained what element will he get depending on the result of the paper. Naruto then starts channeling chakra paper, then the paper splits in half. Cool. Does that mean I got wind element arrow Senin? The blonde questioned his teacher, which Jiraiya found it interesting. While most ninja are fire users in Konoha, you brat are one of a kind. Wind users are rare in Konoha, Jiraiya said while he thought with interest, and the only shinobi he could think that is proficient in handling wind affinity is Asuma Sarutobi, the son of his late sensei. I knew I'm awesome Datbayo, declared the blonde, pumping out his fist to the air while jumping, declaring how awesome he is. So will you teach me some awesome wind jutsu? He said with glint in his eyes. Jiraiya tapped his chin repeatedly, thinking what to teach the blonde. Alright brat, watch closely, Ima show you 2 wind power jutsu. Waving proper hand seals, Jiraiya clasped his hand together, compressing wind while shouting, Futon. Repusho, wind release. Gale palm, releasing the compressed air into a powerful wind in a single trajectory. After that he showed him another wind technique. Gathering wind chakra in his diaphragm, he shouted after he waved the proper seals, Futon. Daitapa, wind release. Great breakthrough, releasing powerful wind blow from his mouth. Cool. Naruto's eyes sparkled with amazement at the shown jutsu. Alright Gaki, you know the proper seals. Now go over there and start practicing. I have some research to attend to, Jiraiya said while pointing out to where the blonde was training earlier. Before the hermit leave, he forgot to give his apprentice something. Oh, I forgot. Before I leave, I want you to try to split this leaf into half using new wind affinity, Jiraiya said as he handed a leaf to Naruto. Huh? But we already did this, Datbayo. The boy gave his teacher a confused look as he knew he already did this earlier. You weren't listening, you brat. The old pervert gained a tick mark as he smacked the head of the blonde in annoyance. What you did earlier was knowing your elemental affinity. This is different. You see, you need to split that leaf you're holding into 2 using wind chakra. By doing so you will get the grasp of your wind nature, thus making your techniques more powerful, explained Jiraiya. Now go along now. I have some research to attend to, he said, chuckling perversely as making a shooing gesture to the blonde. Should I tell him about the secret of the cage bunshin? He thought as he heard voices of women bathing in a nearby spring. Nah. Maybe later. His attention was diverted immediately at the sound of water splashing and woman laughing. Flashback end. Location: Iwagakure, Tsuchikage Tower. A short old man, with white triangular goatee and mustache, thick eyebrows and big red nose. He's Onoki, current cage of Iwa. Onoki is currently looking outside the rocky window of his office, admiring the village itself. The village is surrounded by rocky mountain ranges that surround the village. Its infrastructure is built from its surrounding rocks and interconnected bridges. Iwakagure is one of the 5 great Shibabi countries, considered to be the 3rd strongest, as Konohagakure is at top in terms of military power. The only advantages they have against Konoha is the economic wealth of the village that prospered through years. They are probably considered as the riches that rivaled Kumo, as they haven't been attacked and focus on rebuilding the village after the 3rd war ended, unlike their rival that got attacked twice after the war and is still rebuilding. Even then Konoha remains the strongest, as even they tried to take advantage of Konoha's recovery after Suna's invasion have failed. They send forces to invade but was repelled by a veteran shinobi dubbed as the Eternal Genin named Kosuke Maruboshi. A.N. He also shared the same title with Might Dewey. While deep in thought, a knock was heard from the main doors of his office. Expecting someone, he signaled, "Enter." With that, an Iwa shinobi entered. A tall and brawny man with small dark eyes, big round nose and short dark gray hair and beard. His outfit consists of standard red-colored Iwa uniform and a standard brown flak jacket. He walked towards the Tsuchikage's desk to hand a file on the status report of the given assignment. Mission successful, Tsuchikage-sama. The man reported, which Iwa's cage seems uninterested. Is that all, Kitsuchi? If yes, then you may take your leave. But the now known shinobi added interesting news that might catch the attention of Onoki. On the way back, our patrol spotted 2 Konoha shinobi near the border. According to our intel, they're staying in the land of grass. Hearing this, Onoki seems to have a glint of interested by the news. One of those is the legendary Toad Sannin Jiraiya, and his apprentice, continued Kitsuchi as he handed a picture of the 2 Konoha ninja entering a hotel. Needless to say, Onoki's eyes widen, his jaw clenched, seeing the image of a blonde boy. That boy looks like a splitting image of the Kiroi Senko, Yellow Flash, he spat out with anger and disgust at the name. It's the name Iwakugor feared and hated during the Third Shinobi War that made them surrender. Even before slaughtering an army of Iwa nins in a matter of seconds, the Kiroi Senko was feared and is given a flee on sight order in 2 countries, which is kinda useless as Sakura. The dude can teleport instantaneously or even shunshin beside you. The dude is even a censor and a sage, so no point in hiding or even fleeing. Playing dead might work though. Majority of the villagers' blood boils just hearing news anything related to Konoha, especially news related to the Yondaime Holage. Even just hearing his name, it made their hatred surface. They're still bitter at what happened after the last war, when news spread out of Konoha's Kiroi Senko, Yellow Flash, killed thousands of their shinobis that left wives widowed and children orphaned. So after hearing news of Konoha's Jinchuriki being released by an unknown assailant that attacked Konoha, they partied and got drunk, especially news that the Yondaime died defeating the Kyuubi and this assailant. Although they did not got their revenge, majority still hates the man, while at least some move on from it. What is our intel about that blonde brat? According to our previous intel, his name is Naruto Uzumaki, born on October 10th, the day of the Kyuubi's attack. Orphaned since birth, his parents are unknown. He is Konoha's Kyuubi Jinchuriki under the tutelage of Jiraiya, Toad Sage of Mount Myoboku. Kitsuchi informed the old Kage. The old Kage's face hardened by the information his son gave him. Now he just needed one piece of information to confirm his suspicion about the blonde. Any information on what the Sannin has been teaching him? Under the Sannin, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki has learned toad summoning, the Rasengan, has a wind affinity, and proficient use of Kage Bunshin. Kitsuchi replied with sheer interest. One of our recent intel cited a month ago that their Jinchuriki is mastering the Yondaime's spacetime jutsu. Onoki's suspicion was confirmed after hearing those. He cited and rested both his arm at his chin and chuckled at the revelation. It seems Konoha's preparing a second Yellow Flash, in which Kitsuchi agreed to the statement. Could it be that he's the... He couldn't finish his sentence as Onoki interrupted. Yes, it seems he is, he cited, knowing what Konoha has hidden. With a deep scowl in the Tsuchikage's face. Minato, it seems your legacy continued after all. There are 3 evidences that supports his claim, and one is the uncanny resemblance of the 4th Hokage and the 3rd Jinchuriki that is easily spotted. The kid is literally a chibi clone of his dad, and the funny thing is that the villagers of Konoha failed to see this as they are blinded by their hatred. Second is that the brat is using his father's jutsu and is under the same pervert of a Sannin the 4th is trained by. Third is he knows that only a main branch of Uzumaki can contain the power of the Kyuubi. He was alive since the time Kyuubi is held by Mito, so he knows this information as well, and he had intel of the secret marriage of the last princess and the blonde. This led Onoki's expression went serious as he called out his Anbu officers. Kitsuchi, prepare your men immediately. What are you planning, Dad? Kitsuchi asked. He have a bad feeling on what his old man is planning. Track down and try to capture the Jinchuriki, Onoki said in a serious tone that confirmed his gut feeling. Are you insane? We might provoke Konoha to start a war this time, especially after the failed attack during Konoha Crush 3 years ago. Terror overtook his face. Kitsuchi may hate the Yellow Flash and anything related to him, but starting a war just for revenge isn't right. They know that Konoha has a lot of powerful shinobi at its disposal even after losing the 4th, 3rd, and the Uchiha clan. He knew another war will result to bloodshed in both parties that will end up in hatred and revenge. Even if they won, there's also an after effect of war on both parties. That is why I want you to gather your best men. Lure him near our borders, and do not engage until he is under our jurisdiction. I want him captured, not killed. This is a classified S-class mission. Onoki knows Konoha can't engage in a war if one of their shinobi are captured under their territorial jurisdiction. A little precaution should be measured in case they provoke Konoha by capturing their Jinchuriki. Knowing how stubborn his old man is, Kitsuchi let out a sigh in defeat and agreed to the given task. Very well, Tsuchikage-sama. Mission accepted, he said as bowed down as he was dismissed. Either way, he got no choice but to accept the mission. Kitsuchi then wonders why his dad wants the Jinchuriki captured and not killed. He was wondering why he needs the blonde. Meanwhile, Onoki chuckled as this may be their upper hand against Konoha. Unbeknown to them, A young beautiful kunoichi was eavesdropping behind the door. She had a short but a little messy raven black hair with matching black eyes that matched her heart-shaped face. Her outfit consists of standard Iwa uniform with her right sleeve missing and a lapel over her right leg. Over her outfit is a standard Iwagakure flak jacket, fishnet tights and a skirt over them. She gritted her teeth and clenched her fist in anger as she heard most of the conversation. She was supposed to debrief with the Tsuchikage regarding the success of her mission but instead heard the conversation inside the Tsuchikage's office. Those Konoha scums, she thought to herself with venom, her agenda is now clouded with revenge. Knowing that the discussion is over, she heard the doorknob's metal turning. Being a trained kunoichi herself, she quickly shunshined outside before she gets spotted. Walking out of the Tsuchikage's office, the bearded shinobi looked at the spot where the kunoichi was eavesdropping. Strange, I sense Kuritsuchi was here a moment ago, but shrugged it off as he can just ask his daughter later before his departure in pursuit of the Jinchuriki. Right now they have a Jinchuriki to catch. Several miles from the border of Tsuchi no Kuni, Naruto is seen training with his Kage Bunshin. He is sparring with dozens of clones and it was now down with 6 clones versus himself in a hand-to-hand combat. 2 clones charged towards him from his left, and 2 at the right, in which he sweep his right feet to the clones in his right, making them lose balance. He then rotated 180-degree turn to kick them using his other feet, dispelling them immediately. Noticing that the clones from his left are nearing him, Naruto then went into stance immediately and engaged into close combat with both clones. After a series of attacks and blocks, seeing an opening, he then caught one clone's fist using his hand and then grabbed the clone's arm with his other hand, in which he threw the clone into the other clone, dispelling them. Naruto then looked around, noticing 2 more clones are nowhere to be found. The ground started to erupt, bursting out a clone with a spiraling blue orb in his hand, shouting, "Rasengan!" With his fast reflex, he quickly jumped up in the air out of his position, dodging the attack, but while airborne his senses spiked, noticing danger above him. Looking up, he saw another clone with a Rasengan in hand charging downwards. Being proficient with the Kage Bunshin, he quickly spawns another clone that threw him away from both attacks. Both attacks from the clones collided each other, with the recently spawned clone making a large explosion from the technique that dispelled them immediately. On the ground, Naruto lay down panting, tired from his sparring session, and it was now 1 in the afternoon, which he started around 8 in the morning after he ate breakfast, which is of course cup ramen. The blonde was not expecting his clones to use jutsu. Damn clones told them this is a taijutsu battle only. I swear those clones are getting smarter every day, he told himself. Who could blame those clones anyway? They're just unpredictable as he is. His clones takes the personality and mindset of the summoner. Growl. Hearing his stomach growl, he noticed it was past lunchtime already, and surely our blonde hero is now hungry. Hey, calm down big fella, we're going to eat ramen. He patted his hungry stomach. Those training sure made him hungry, and he only ate 1 cup of ramen for breakfast. For him, ramen is a healthy diet, or he should say, the food of the gods. Getting up from the grassy field, he lay down. Naruto walked in a civilian pace towards the town in search for a ramen bar. Sitting in a counter, Naruto is now at the ramen bar holding the menu. He can't decide what he should try as there are a variety of ramen in the menu, like seafood ramen, pork ramen, beef ramen, chicken ramen, or just plain miso ramen, which he loved. Oiji-san, what's the specialty here at this place? He called the man in his 50s with white hair and round glasses, wearing a chef hat and an apron that seemed to be the chef of the restaurant. Ah, you should try our all for you specialty, young man, the chef suggested, smiling at the young customer. Naruto said, giving his thinking look. What's that? It's miso ramen with pork, beef, chicken, and shrimp in it in one bowl, said the ramen chef while cutting a few vegetables. So that's why it's called all for you, the blonde thought. Hearing the all for you specialty, Naruto's stomach suddenly growled violently. Then I'll have 5 bowls of those, old man, Naruto said with a grin and a thumbs up, which amuses the restaurant chef. Quite a metabolism you have got, young man, chuckled the chef as he prepared the dish. A shadowy figure wearing a black hooded cloak is standing atop of a building across the restaurant. The one in the middle gave out a signal and his subordinate vanished out of sight, while the remaining figure keep on observing the orange wearing blonde boy. It seems the boy is fond of ramen, seeing the blonde on his 24th bowl of ramen. Though this observation seems useless, for spies or enemies, this can be used against your enemies as every information matters. Naruto groaned, feeling blinded from his slumber. Opening his eyes slowly, the sun shines through the window of the hotel. Its bright lights shots his face, completely blinding him as he fully opened his eyes, making him completely awake. He then let out a yawn while stretching both of his arms outwards. He is now fully rested, and maybe overslept a bit since Naruto is not a morning person. He let out a morning stretch as he remembered yesterday's event before he went to bed. After he was done eating at the said restaurant and noticing the time, it was now the start of the evening, which is around 5 or so. Still early to go back at the hotel, Naruto then took a stroll around town. He noticed how peaceful the small town is. It wasn't as huge as a major village at the average size of 5,000 square kilometers, and the town is around 5 kilometers, or a total of at least 25 square kilometers in area. Konoha is at least 80 kilometers in diameter, which is unbelievable, but it's true, and I'm lowballing the computation. We could also assume that other major villages is as huge as Konoha in area. Heck, he noticed the population of shinobis in the town was non-existent, but there are some few ninjas he could identify from a minor country based on their Hite-8, who he assumed was hired by the locals. Enjoying his stroll, he observed around, seeing people walking, shops closing, children being picked up from the park, and a convenience store with a 30% bargain sale, which attracted his attention as he immediately went to the store before it closed. An hour has passed. It was now 8. Naruto then arrived to his room and is seen with a bag full of ramen that he bought recently, in which he now proceeded to store it in a small scroll and put it inside his ninja pouch. Giving himself a yawn, he then changes to his pajamas and went to bed, ending the day with a smile of his face of the ramen he bought. Recalling the events that happened yesterday, Naruto then proceeded to his morning exercise that composed of stretches, crunches, sit-ups, and push-ups. It was just basic workout that was part of his routine and not extreme as training or some certain green spandex wearing ninjas, if you know what I mean. Done from the workout he did, Naruto sniffed himself, and boy, he sure is sweaty and smelly. Damn, I really need a shower. Knowing what to do next, he went to the bathroom. After taking a shower and now wearing his usual orange outfit, the blonde sat down in the futon and unsealed a bento that Jiraiya left for him before his departure. While he wants to have ramen all the time, he knows that he need proper nutritional intake that he learned during his trip a few years ago, in which if he didn't limit his ramen addiction, the Sannin sealed all his precious cup ramen away, much to his annoyance. And speaking of Jiraiya, he was supposed to arrive within the week. It's been a week and a half already and the pervert not yet to arrive, he told himself before digging in. He was not worried, he knew what his sensei is capable of. Jiraiya is a Sannin for a reason, and he knew that. But he's been told it will take a week or two, so he's expecting him to arrive within this week. He wanted to leave, he misses his friends already. Leaving the hotel premises, Naruto decided to head to train in an open field a few miles away from the town. It was the only thing that kept him busy aside from eating ramen, of course. But while taking a walk, a lone girl no older than 12 approached him and tugged his jacket to gain his attention. Mister, are you a ninja?" the girl asked. Naruto looked at the girl. She had dark blue hair that reaches down her waist with a tied-up pigtail each side that is held together by a red ribbon. She has brown eyes, and her simple dark green dress is a bit ragged from dirt. Yeah, I am," he said, scratching his head. His voice shows uncertain of his answer, but he's certain he's a ninja as he pointed his Hite-8. "Ninja-san, please help me find my mom. She's missing." He looked at her eyes. It showed sadness. He could see her eyes watering. "Please mister, this is all I got." The girl took out and held a small pouch of ryo that he offered to the shinobi. It is known in the shinobi world that a client that hires a ninja needs to be paid for their services, and mission pays may vary depending on its difficulty and danger, that are categorized in 5 ranks, with the lowest pay and the lowest rank being 5,000 ryo, approximately $500. Naruto knew that the girl's offer is all she had, and it is 1/4 less than AD rank mission pay, so he refused. "You can keep your money, kid," he said in a monotone voice. "Please mister, it's all I have. Ma, maybe I can repay you more soon." The girl let out a cry as she knew it wasn't enough, but Naruto patted her head and the girl looked up to him with tears running down from her face. Naruto then gave her a smile and said, "Oi, I just said you can keep your money. I didn't say I refused to help you find your mom, Datbeo." The girl's eyes widened in surprise that the blonde ninja will help her. Why you mean it? The girl stuttered. She could believe someone is willing to help her. Naruto then kneeled in front of the girl to level his face at her as he wiped her tears at her face. Believe it, kid. It's my ninja way. He gave her a heart-warming smile in which the girl suddenly leaps at him, giving him a hug. Thank you ninja-san, the girl happily said at him. If Jiraiya saw the interaction of them now, he was pretty sure the Sannin will call him Lolicon just to get back at him. Naruto, he said. You can call me Naruto. He gave his name as he let go of the hugging girl as both of them stand up. Okay Naruto-san. Nay, I never got your name, kid, Naruto cheekily said as the girl replied. My name is Wendy, the now named Wendy chirped. Wendy, huh? That's a nice name, Naruto commented. Well, it sounds foreign to the blonde, but it was a nice name, he thought to himself. As they both started to walk to a random direction, he realized that they need to start somewhere, so he asked Wendy some questions as he needed some leads to find her mother. So Wendy-chan, what happened to your mom? He looked at her waiting for a reply. Well, when my mom is cooking breakfast in our home, some shinobi men attacked the both of us. My mom hid me and then they took her, she sadly said. Mind telling me where it happened, Wendy-chan? Questioned the blonde. Well, it happened in our home. It's between Iwa and Kusa near Takigakure, she replied. Yosh, let's go then, as soon they continued their walk. But first let's head back to the hotel and get my stuff, which the now named Wendy nodded to him. The hotel is pretty near, just 2 blocks away. So after getting his stuff they now begin their investigation. Naruto-san, where are we going? Wendy asked. She looked around the direction they're going and the road is unfamiliar to her. She did not know where they're headed to. Why, we're heading to your home, of course. We need to investigate there first, as there might be a clue to where they took your mother, Naruto proudly replied. Isn't it that way to the north? Wendy pointed out the direction on where supposed her home is located. Naruto winced at that. He's still bad at direction sometimes. He remembered the time when he was assigned to lead Konohamaru gang in their academy activities but ended up taking the long path. But alas, he would not Wendy know about that. Getting lost is a poor excuse of being a ninja, especially under the tutelage of a Sannin. Well, you see, Naruto was thinking of an excuse while scratching his chin in a thinking expression. This is a shortcut. Yeah, a shortcut. Hee. Wendy looked at him, her eyes narrowed as she was studying him. Well, if you say so, she beamed at him. Naruto let out a sigh as the young girl ignored his poor excuse. Though the girl knew they got lost for a moment, she just didn't mind it. Unbeknown to them, the group who were spying Naruto yesterday was observing them. All according to plan. Wendy-chan, are you sure this is your home? Naruto asked, in which the girl nodded. Several meters in front of them is an old abandoned cabin that seemed unoccupied for years. The blonde ninja is feeling wary about the situation. Something is odd, he thought. Being a Jinchuriki, he knew that this might be a trap. He looked at Wendy, feeling no malice coming out from her. He then made out his mind to proceed the investigation. He held both his hand in a familiar plus sign. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, and 2 copies of him emerge out of nowhere. Wendy was in awe as there was now 3 exact copies of Naruto. Naruto-san, there's 3 of you, Wendy said in amusement. This is a Kage Bunshin, a Junin-level technique that lets the user physically clone himself that I myself learned before I graduated, Naruto proudly states in a matter-of-fact tone. What do you need them for? Wendy asked. She was amused and curious at the same time of the shown jutsu. Well, boss wants us to find any leads on where they took your mom, stated a clone as the other clone noddingly agreed. Both clones now started to go inside of the cabin to look for clues. Wendy looked at the ninja in a questioning look and said, what are really those clones for, Naruto-san? We could look it out ourselves. Naruto looked back at the girl and patted her head. Well, we still didn't have our lunch yet, have we? The girl nodded in his comment, which Naruto continued. Besides, this is the best opportunity for us to eat. Naruto didn't want to let the girl know he's skeptical about the situation, especially he sensed Chunin level of chakra from the girl. Nay, Wendy-chan, have you been trained in any ninja arts? He asked as Wendy replied. My mom only taught me jutsu related to my Kekkei Genkei, but that's about it. I see, he may be an idiot, but the Sannin taught him to be cautious. He knows something was up, but looking at Wendy his guts tells him she's innocent. Not want to be rude, but the next town is a few miles away, and I haven't packed any food for us to eat, nor did bring any. the girl told the blonde as the shinobi gazed out of his thought. He reached out a scroll from his ninja pouch. As an awesome ninja I always come prepared. Inside this scroll is the food of the gods. Behold. He waved it around showing it to the girl like some kind of magic show. Naruto then unscrolled the contents and in a puff of smoke the food of the gods is shown to be a cup ramen, stated Wendy as she raised her brow, arm crossed. Her voice more likely showed concern for the blonde. She was slightly confused at the blonde's silly antics but nonetheless shrugged it out. Was this guy really a ninja that was supposed to help her? She was now having a minor doubt but she knew she could trust in his abilities. Naruto held out cups of ramen while smiling idiotically. Not just a cup ramen, it's the cup ramen, he proudly stated giving a cup to Wendy while pointing out something at the cup ramen. Wendy looked at what he was pointing at, it was a label of the ramen with a limited edition on it. She don't know what to respond, so she dumbly nodded his statement. Nay Wendy-chan, sorry if all I got is ramen. The orange ninja apologetically said while scratching the back of his head with his free hand. He knew not everyone is a ramen freak like him. No it's okay Naruto-san. I'm not picky with food. She was shocked by this while waving both her hands nervously in defense. Alright then Wendy-chan. Why don't you sit down so you don't tire while I'll boil some water. He then unscrolled a set of utensils. Wendy watched him prepare their meal while humming cutely. He saw Naruto fill a kettle with water. After that the blonde placed the kettle down and took out a matchstick and ignited below the kettle for it to boil. Few minutes has passed. Naruto then poured hot water into the cup ramen and handed one to Wendy. Here, wait for 3 minutes for it to cook. Naruto also handed her a bottle of water to keep her hydrated. 3 minutes later both of are now ready to chow down their food but not long before both saying, "Itadakimasu." The blonde was enjoying his time with Wendy while eating his all-time favorite food as he already had 3 cups as the girl is satisfied with just 1. He then felt some kind of déjà vu. This kinda feels nostalgic, it's like I've met her before somewhere, he thought but couldn't figure it out somehow. Suddenly his expression hardened as something came up. Naruto-san, are you okay? Questioned the girl full of concern. They're headed north, I found some tracks. This statement left Wendy thinking. She tilted her head sideways while looking at him, waiting for some kind of explanation from her companion. While his clones found nothing inside the cabin, his clones found 5 footprints imbued on the mud out the back of the cabin that match a shinobi sandal. Naruto then continued. The Cage Bunshin specializes in espionage because of its ability. Once the clone dispels, all the clone's memory is directly transferred to its user. Wendy was left astonished with her mouth forming an O of how useful the jutsu is. After both are finished with their lunch, Naruto then kneeled down, his back facing Wendy. Come on, it will be faster if I carried you, he offered. Oh okay, said the girl nervously. Hold on tight. Okay, said the blonde, which Wendy complied, holding tighter. Naruto then channeled chakra in his feet and sprinted towards north in a speed faster than a cheetah could run. They have arrived at the border of Tsuchi no Kuni. Naruto then dropped Wendy down and asked her in concern. You alright? Asked the shinobi. He knew non-shinobi might got uncomfortable being carried like that. I get a little dizzy when I'm being moved like that, replied the girl, but I'm fine. Well, here we are, said Naruto, nervous? Wendy gave a weak nod of disapproval. Not really. How about you Naruto-san? She returned his question. Hee a little. He knows that Konoha and Iwe are not on good terms, so this might be a little risky. Scratch that, isn't a rank risk. Naruto knew all the risk. Entering a territory as a Konoha nen without diplomatic reason is like asking to be captured or killed. Well, here goes nothing. A few minutes upon entering Tsuchi no Kuni, both are stopped by the sudden appearance of 5 Iwas Anbu with weapons drawn out. Halt. State your business here, demanded one Iwa nen. His voice showed hostility towards the blonde Jinchuriki. We were just passing by, replied Naruto. It was rather strange, he knew something fishy is going on, as we would believe a Konoha nen. Now surrender yourself or we'll make you, spitted another Anbu. Well, this is bad. What would we do now Naruto-san? Thought the young girl as she stayed quiet and let Naruto deal with the situation. You know what, why don't we just go back where we came from? I think we just got lost on the way of life hee, Naruto said while slowly walking back, which Wendy mirrored, but of course they won't let them. The blonde was left with no choice as he threw a smoke bomb. Several clones popped out of the smoke to deal with the Anbus. The smoke died down and they have noticed the girl is gone, signifying that the original must have taken her with him. They're gone. They must use it as a diversion and escaped. Somewhere in the forest, Naruto is seen jumping from tree to tree, carrying Wendy in a bridal-style fashion. A batch of Anbus showed up into pursuit. Just my luck, I hope it doesn't get worse, our hero thought, but he jinxed himself. Things are getting worse. Shinobis pursuing them started to throw shurikens and kunais at them. Oi, are you guys trying to kill us or something? I'm carrying a girl with me, Datbayo. He shouted. There was no response as he kept on dodging oncoming projectiles aiming at them. It looks like evading them wasn't an option. Wendy, if something happens to me, I want you to run away as fast as possible. He whispered enough for the girl to hear. But what about you? Why, you can't Zhu? Naruto cut her off. My priority is your safety here, and I think they're after me, not you. I just need to deal with them first. Wendy saw his expression. It was not goofy, but rather serious. Don't worry, I'll come back after I'm done, the blonde shinobi said. You promise? Wendy said, which Naruto smiled brightly at the girl. Don't worry, I never go back to my word. A simple answer from the blonde made Wendy satisfied. Naruto brought Wendy down to the ground. He then summoned a cage Bunshin and ordered. Take her and hide her somewhere safe. Which the clone carried the girl and escaped. Naruto was standing on the ground where his clone and Wendy left, his arms crossed, posture straightened, and face hardened. One by one Anbu are appearing few meters away, surrounding him in a circle. Surrender yourself now, brat. You have a lot of guts trespassing in our territory, now you have nowhere to run, the Iwa Anbu said while others chuckled in union. Who said I'm gonna run? Naruto said with a smug on his face as he closed his eyes for a second. Meanwhile, somewhere in the forest a clone sitting still dispelled. Naruto opened his eyes with an orange pigmentation around appeared. His eye color changed to golden with pupils becoming horizontal-like. Naruto then went into a battle stance ready to fight. Naruto just entered Sage mode where he learned it during his time at Mount Myoboku for the last 3 remaining months of training with Jiraiya before they are supposed to head back to Konoha. Time to let loose, he thought. There was no holding back this time. It was his first time using it in a real battle other than sparring with his clones and mastering it. All the Anbu charged together at him. Most engaged in a taijutsu while the remaining have weapons drawn aiming to kill. With the technique, Naruto's senses boosted that able to sense blind spots and can pinpoint where the attack would land. He was able to dodge all 360-degree attacks, ducking, tilting, jumping, rotating, without them making a single scratch, nor was able to touch him. You can't dodge forever, brat. It seems that backup has arrived, hehe. The captain chuckled as the second batch arrived just in time. Damn it, I need to finish this quick or it will not end well for me, the blonde thought. I still got few minutes left. He still have few minutes to maintain Sage mode as it only lasts for several minutes. Down part of using it is that summoning a clone that utilizes Sage mode will divide his reserve of natural energy. Naruto then analyzes surroundings. Since the backup has arrived, neither has moved, completely still, but neither are lowering their guards as if waiting the first to move. Knowing he is a time short, the blonde then dashed backwards, entering a defensive stance. What are y'all waiting for? Come at me. Are you scared or something? He taunted while his right arm reaching outwards in a taunting manner. One by one they charged at him, all going offensive while Naruto maintained his defensive stance. The first one to attack made a left hook which Naruto blocked and grabbed using his right arm. Using the momentum of the attack and with his enhanced strength, he then swung the shinobi around towards the next 2 nins, knocking them out. 2 Anbu then jumped out behind the knocked Iwa shinobi with a katana in hand, aiming a vertical attack at him. The blonde was able to hold down the attack by grabbing the blade each hand. It wasn't coated with elemental chakra, so it can't damage him to an extent while he's using that form. Nani? Both are surprised. Naruto was able to block the attack using his hand and was able to restrict their movements. So, this is the power of senjutsu, one enemy commented. It amazed and terrified him at the same time. While Naruto is restricting both Iwa shinobi, one Anbu charged at him from behind with a chakra-enhanced tanto that he knows can damage him. Naruto then used the shinobi as a wall, kicking them both to do a backflip. He then lands behind the Anbu. and then proceed to sidesweep the feet of the shinobi, causing him to fall down, but the Iwa ninja used his hand to regain his balance by using the ground as leverage and flipped away. Naruto then went on offensive and charged at the enemy, throwing kunai after kunai, in which the Iwa ninja keep on deflecting the kunai that the blonde keeps throwing, but was surprised as Naruto is trying to land a punch at him. Before the blonde landed his attack, he was able to dodge the punch few inches away before it landed. "Ha, not bad, kid," the Anbu said as Naruto missed his punch. He saw Naruto smirk at this. Suddenly his eyes widened as he felt an invisible force hit him in the face. Gaia, the shinobi was sent flying to a tree, knocking him out. Location: Takigakure. Several hours before Naruto and Wendy left, a tall old man in his 50s barged in wildly at a hotel room. "Alright Naruto, time to head home," cheered Jiraiya, but was met with a complete silence. A tumbleweed then appeared out of nowhere, rolling in front of the Sannin. He starts scratching his head, completely clueless of the situation. Finding the room empty and the blonde gone, it's like his wife just left him and took all his assets and the kid with her. "Damn brat, I don't have time to go play hide and seek," he annoyingly said as he went down to the receptionist to ask some questions. "Ah, Jiraiya Dono, what can I help you with?" the receptionist asked. "Did my apprentice tell you anything, Tama-chan? I can't seem to find him." Jiraiya interviewed the young receptionist known as Tama. "Well, he did not told me anything. He just went out earlier in the morning and went back again and left. I think I saw him with a girl before he left again." He then gave his thanks to the receptionist. "Well then, thanks Tama-chan, see you again next time." The Sannin then left the inn. Jiraiya is seen asking few civilians in town regarding the whereabouts of the Jinchuriki. He gained nothing from them. Jiraiya then asked a passerby, "Excuse me, but have you seen a boy with blonde hair and wearing an orange jumpsuit? He is about this tall." He held out his palm, showing indicating the height of his apprentice. No, sorry, I haven't," replied the passerby as she continued walking. He let out a sigh. "I've been asking around town but got nothing. That damn brat didn't even left a note." "Anyo, sorry meddling in, but are you talking about a boy with whisker marks on his cheeks?" an old store owner asked while sweeping in front of his store. This caught the full attention of the Sannin as he turned at the voice. He eyed fixated at the store owner, seemingly interested as he finally found some clue that might lead him to the blonde. "Yes, he is my apprentice. He was gone by the time I was back," Jiraiya said, which the store owner replied. "While opening my store earlier I saw him passing by in front, then a young girl no longer than 13 I think, approached him asking for help." This perks up Jiraiya's interest as he needed more information, especially involving a girl. "What can you tell me about the girl?" he questioned. The girl seemed rugged, her face and green dress all dirty and all. "She doesn't seem homeless as she's a healthy-looking girl, probably something happened to her. She has this long dark bluish hair tied into twin tails held by a ribbon, have brown eyes, and a cute face." He explained and followed a comment. "That girl will grow up into a fine woman in a few years," said the store owner with a chuckle. Jiraiya seems to agreed. "Oh ho ho ho. Yes, I can see that." He let out a perverted giggle. His smile reaches his cheeks and his brows wiggling in a Jiraiya manner. After the interview, the Sannin is now walking in the streets. Jiraiya can't help but think about the girl. Brown eyes, dark blue hair, green dress. It sounds familiar to him, he can't pinpoint what. He then remembered 3 years ago he and Naruto was here and met an orphan nearby. Jiraiya tried to connect all information as something came up. Time to visit an old acquaintance. Hope my intuition was right. Naruto is on a tree branch crouching, thinking of a plan. As of now he have defeated a dozen of Iwa's Anbu, but there's still half left. "I got a minute left. I need to speed things up," making a single hand sign. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 3 clones appeared and jumped out from the tree to attack. A kunai then hid near him. Noticing it's not an ordinary kunai, he quickly leaped the branch before it explode. Boom. Even it would not kill him as long as he is in sage mode. The explosion will definitely hurt him badly. While landing on the ground, Naruto saw one shinobi performing a jutsu. "Ha, got you now," shouted the Iwa nin with a victory on his face. "Doden. Doryuso. Earth release. Earth flow spear." Naruto's eyes widened as several spikes sprouted out from the ground, nearly impaling him, but he quickly used a Kawarami no Jutsu substitute technique, switching places to a clone of his. While Naruto switches with his clone, another Iwa nin was currently performing a jutsu. Doden. Sazareshi. Earth release. Gravel, but it was too late for Naruto as the ground erupted, encasing him up to his waist. The Iwa nin's face lit up and said, "Ha. That was unexpected. How lucky of me, to think that you just trapped yourself." The Iwa nin noticed that the hardened ground encasing Naruto was beginning to crack. His face winced knowing that the blonde will escape sooner. He then ordered the few remaining Anbu, "Don't let him escape. Quick, subdue him now." The remaining shinobis performed a synchronized hand seals and together they shouted in union. Doden. Daichi Gansho. Earth release. Ground bedrock, as two huge walls of rock sprouted, trying to sandwich our hero. Naruto held his arms outwards at his side, stopping the wall and trapping him. "I need to escape and finish this in one move," the blonde thought. He knew he got 5 seconds left in maintaining sage mode. The wall keeps moving inwards to him, its pressure increasing. "GG Gaia," shouted the blonde as he infused more sage chakra at his arms to boost his strength further. Cracks can be heard. All the Anbu's face started to sweat on what's happening. Their expression suddenly showed fear as Naruto crushed both walls and was able to escape just in time as his natural energy depleted. "Time to end this," shouted Naruto as he performed his favorite jutsu. 7 clones appeared as they all charged together at the remaining Anbu. Naruto and 3 clones held their palm open as the other clones infused chakra on it, making his signature jutsu, Rasengan. All 4 Naruto charged, hitting each shinobi with a ball of condensed chakra enough to knock them all out. Finally, "It's over," he told himself as he returned to his base form. "I need to go to Wendy and make sure she's fine." Naruto then dispelled the clone that took her earlier. "Shit, Wendy!" shouted the blonde as he ran as fast as he could as the memories of his clone surfaced. 10 minutes has passed since Naruto left. 5 figures landed at the center of the battlefield. One shinobi spoke up. Who would have thought that the Kyuubi Jinchuriki would defeat them? They began their search, checking every comrade that has fallen while specifically looking for someone. "Commander, it seemed there are no casualties. All are knocked out," said the shinobi as Kitsuchi remained silent. His face was blank but showed concern. "Also, Captain, your daughter are nowhere to be found." Finally their leader spoke up and gave an order. "You 4 call for the medical team. I'll go look for Kuritsuchi myself," said Kitsuchi. "But what about the Jinchuriki?" one of his subordinates asked, which their commander replied. "Forget about the mission, we underestimate this mission. I'll take full responsibility," he said in a serious tone. "After you're done, report back to the Tsuchikage immediately," and with that he left the battlefield. Location: Tsuchikage office a day before the ambush. Onoki is seen doing paperwork as Kitsuchi entered. "Kitsuchi, what brings you here?" the old man said while doing his paperwork. "Kuritsuchi been missing for 2 days," he said with worry in his voice. Onoki looked at him for a second before continuing with paperwork and said, "Don't worry, the kid's probably training outside the village. You know her, she always wants to be the best." Kitsuchi pitched the bridge of his nose. His father seemed not to worry at all. He let out a sigh and spoke while raising his voice a little. "She might compromise the mission. We should focus on finding her and delayed this mission." Once again, Onoki looked at his son with voice of confusion. "What do you mean, Kitsuchi?" Onoki said, waiting for an explanation. "Last week after you assigned me the mission, I sensed her presence behind the door for a moment, but when I looked, she was not there. I asked her if she has been at the office during that time, but she dismisses it. She has been acting unusual for the past few days, always deep in thought. When I talked to her, she kept silent or just changed the topic," explained Kitsuchi while maintaining composure. There was a brief silence before he continued again, voice rising higher. "Don't you see? She was there, she knew. Knowing her, she will let her hatred, but was cut off." "That's enough," shouted Onoki while standing up or rather levitated from his chair. A minute has passed as both started to calm down as Kitsuchi spoke once more. "One wrong move, and we will cause another war with Konoha. We were lucky 3 years ago. Now? I'm not sure anymore. We cannot just back away from this. This planning took days of preparation and it's already on motion. If you're worried about Kuritsuchi, then stop her before she messes this up. If you failed to convince her, then subdue her until it's over," the Tsuchikage said while looking out the window of his office. You know how stubborn she is. She's always doing as she pleases and will not listen. Before Kitsuchi left, he once again spoke. You're putting too much confidence this will all work out, and then he left. It's been 20 minutes since Naruto found Wendy hiding in a cave. Luckily, the moment Naruto dispelled his clone, Wendy did not left, nor did the enemy ninja found her. The blonde is now carrying the girl on his back, being chased by a lone kunoichi. He looked back for a moment and saw that the kunoichi is still chasing them. Hang on Wendy, we're almost near, he said as they're reaching near the border. Naruto could now see the end of the border. He knew once he passed, the kunoichi can't longer pursue him because of territorial jurisdiction. To ensue their success, he held his hand in a T sign. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Copies of Naruto then attacked the kunoichi while they escape. He then looked back with a smile on his face and shouted, "Ha! That will slow you down, ya bastard." Iwa Bunshin no Jutsu, rock clone technique, whispered the raven-haired kunoichi, revealed as Kuritsuchi. As she expels mud from her mouth to form 4 clones to battle dozens of Naruto clones. Meanwhile, Naruto heard an explosion. As he looked back, he saw that the kunoichi is still on pursuit while his clones battle exploding rock clones. Huh, Nani? His eyes widened comically as to what happened. Not only that, but the kunoichi is closing distance between them. Almost there, he shouted. If he wasn't carrying a motion-sick girl, then he could outrun his pursuer. At last, Naruto and Wendy made it across. He put Wendy down as they stopped. He saw that the kunoichi also stopped at the border, not crossing. Ni ahahaha. Blah, blah. Can't cross, can you? Dogs should just be leashed, datbayo. Ha ha ha, no. Wait, that ain't the word. Naruto was laughing his ass on the ground, sticking his tongue out in childish manner, teasing the kunoichi before he picked himself up. Wendy tugged his jacket while looking at him. Naruto-san, I don't think she's willing to let us go. Naruto processed what Wendy said. Wait, what do you mean she? He then clearly looked at the dead serious Kuritsuchi across, eyes gazing at each other. Blue meets black, warm meets cold. Oh, I see. So you really are a girl, huh? Don't get me wrong, I almost mistake you for a pretty guy, and you look like Shizune with smaller boobs. I mean, I just don't want to mistake you from another Haku datbayo. Hehe, Naruto said while scratching his head. He remembered as he almost fell for a dude that he mistake for a beautiful woman, in which his sensei called a trap. Meanwhile, this made Wendy confused at his statement and action. A kunai then gazed his cheeks. Huh? This got his attention? Naruto can see the kunoichi's eyes dead set on him. He knew he kinda pissed the woman off with his comment. You know, I think we'll go ahead. Datsu. Datsi ya, he said while pointing at his back. He then picked up Wendy again and dashed, knowing the kunoichi on chase again. As much as Kuritsuchi hates Konoha ninja, she hates the Kiroi Senko the most. Her eyes are set dead cold towards the blonde. Eyes intent to kill, as she would let Konoha gain another yellow flash, especially after the blonde pissed her off with his comment. She didn't care if she goes overboard as long as he end his life. Knowing the blonde will continue to evade, she threw 2 exploding kunais at him, which the blonde dodges. Oi! That was dangerous, shouted the blonde as he landed and hid Wendy behind a tree. Naruto then rushed towards the kunoichi, summoning a single clone, and shouted, Rasengan. Kuritsuchi's eyes widen as in front of her is a ball of chakra that screamed danger. Never did I thought he would go offensive. With a few hand seals, she countered it with a Doden. Doryuheki, earth release. Earth-style wall. As a wall made of mud rise from the ground to block Naruto's attack. Naruto then crashed his Rasengan into the wall. Huh? What? Where did ya go? Naruto said as he held his hand into a looking motion as the kunoichi went missing. Remembering what Kakashi-sensei said, Naruto then produced a Rasengan at a size of a basketball and charged it at full power. Udama Rasengan. He smashed it into the ground, breaking it apart, creating a decent crater as several trees fell down. Ha, I knew you were underground, he said as he saw the kunoichi leapt out from the ground into a tree. It seems I underestimate you, Konoha scum, said Kuritsuchi with voice of anger. Yeah, same too, you, retorted Naruto as both of them charged at each other. Their weapon clashed midair, both not able to break each other's defense. Kuritsuchi then axe-kicked Naruto into the ground. She then encased both her arm with rock into a shape of a giant fist. Doden. Kengen no Jutsu. Earth release. Fist rock technique, she shouted as she aims for a hard rock punch at the blonde. Naruto was able to pick himself up just in time to dodge her attack. While kneeling down, Naruto reached 3 shuriken in his pouch and threw it at her while waving a few hand signs. Shuriken Cage Bunshin. He shouted as the 3 shuriken multiplied into a couple of dozen. He then compressed air into his palm and released it. Futon. Repusho. Wind release. Gale Palm, which increased the speed of the shuriken to an insane amount while increasing its damage also. Kuritsuchi, seeing as she cannot deflect all shuriken, held her hard rock arm into defense as the shuriken shred them pieces by pieces as there's none left. Kuritsuchi then saw herself surrounded by a bunch of orange-clad ninja. A series of poofs can be heard as one by one a Naruto clone is killed. Kuritsuchi knew dealing with all clones alone will took a lot of energy, so she jumped high enough to see them all with intent to finish them in one move. With a few hand seals, she gathered enough chakra in her mouth to wipe them all out. Sweden. Mizurapa. Water release. Water trumpet, she shouted, releasing a large jet of water from her mouth enough to wipe them out and flood the forest. Kuritsuchi saw that there was none left as all clones in the field dispelled, but she can't see the blonde either. So the original is not with them, she thought as she heard something spiraling behind her. She looked behind as above her there's 3 Narutos, each with a Rasengan in hand launching 45 degrees downwards at her. Kuritsuchi dodges all of them, seeing them crashed into the ground, but nothing come out of it. Her eyes widened as she realized. A diversion. It was too late as she felt a punch from her cheeks that knocked her to the ground. Naruto then engaged her into a taijutsu battle. Both were exchanging punches and kicks. Naruto is finding an opening to gain the upper hand. Kuritsuchi knew Naruto is attempting to summon a clone, but she kept him occupied. She then attempted a roundhouse kick, which Naruto blocked with his left arm and saw an opening. The blonde then tried to side-sweep the raven-haired but failed as she retracted her foot away, gaining distance just in time for Naruto to summon 3 clones which assisted him in his fight. Naruto then went offensive while Kuritsuchi went defensive, all his attacker coordinated, not letting her gain one attack at him. This went for a minute before she was able to reduce a clone from an opening. This continued until the original is left. Naruto still went offensive at her as seeing her stamina wearing out. Getting tired already? He taunted, which she just gritted her teeth. Though he knew he's a stamina freak, he knew his reserves is starting to run out as well. He was fighting 2 dozens of Enbu earlier. A smoke bomb was thrown. Naruto held his guard up, not knowing what the kunoichi's thinking. As the smoke was cleared, he saw that Kuritsuchi distanced herself to him, smirking. A golem made of rock suddenly bear-hugged Naruto from behind. He can't escape as the golem possess an amount of brute strength. Jia! He screamed in pain as the golem increased the pressure. He then saw Kuritsuchi wave a few hand signs and shouted. Yoden! Sekaigyo no Jutsu! Lava release! Quickslime concealing technique, as she expels quicklime from her mouth and followed by a Sweden. Mizurapa. Water release. Water trumpet, she then added a water for it to harden quickly. Ha, poor little Konoha scum you are. How does it feel to be cemented? Kuritsuchi teased, smiling widely at the restricted blonde. I think I should keep you as my trophy in my room. Hey, y'all think I let my guard down? I'll escape here dat bayo, he retorted while forcing a grin. She dropped her smile as she advanced to the blonde with a kunai in hand, aiming to kill. Before she could do so, a clone leapt out from a tree shouting, Rasengan! That destroyed the golem but was still stuck as his legs are cemented. Seeing as the kunoichi is gaining distance, he got a few seconds left to counter. I still haven't mastered it yet, but I've been left with no choice, he thought as he reached a familiar tri-pronged kunai from his pouch. Time seems running slow as Kuritsuchi is 1 meter away from thrusting her kunai at him. And at the same time Naruto is seen throwing the tri-pronged kunai at her. Kuritsuchi tilted her head, dodging the kunai, letting it pass behind her. She sadistically grinned ear to ear as her kunai is closing the hap to Naruto's heart. Almost there. Got you now. Ha! She thought with victory, but before she could stab him she is met with a bright yellow flash. Hiraishin. Huh, Nani? She went wide-eyed, but it was too late. Naruto then flashed behind her, delivering a double-barrel horse kick with enough force that sends her tumbling few feet away. As she picked herself up, her eyes showed fear as she saw the familiar jutsu every Iwa ninja feared. That jutsu, so it's true. She was then cut off as Naruto flashed in front of her and delivered a punch and flashed again behind her, now with a kick. Naruto repeated this process, just throwing the kunai and combine it with a body flicker, delivering a blow each flash. He kept on flashing, just beating her up with punches and kicks. She seems like a ragdoll getting beat up like some training dummy and unable to defend herself as this continued for a while. Fuck, this jutsu really takes a toll on my body, the blonde thought as he flashed away from her, panting heavily. He could feel the strain in his body by just using the Hiraishin. Naruto, while kneeling down, both hands on the ground, looked at the kunoichi one more time as he saw her at her limit too, beaten up badly. Meanwhile, Kuritsuchi forced herself to stand up, picking herself up with her beated-up body. "Don't force yourself, ya no," she heard the blonde speak as he laid down on the ground facing up at the sky. "I have been this far, I need to finish," Kuritsuchi said as she slowly dragged herself. "Hey, I liked your determination and will to kill me," Naruto said with a faint smile, still looking at the sky. Shut up. Why you talk too much," replied Kuritsuchi with a small blush by the compliment. Naruto heard something fell. "Huh? Told you don't force yourself." He saw her on the ground again, clearly unable to continue. "Seems we're at our limit, eh?" he said as he looked at the sky again. "Crap. Wendy." He heard someone screaming behind him. "Naruto-san." He then looked at the voice. It was Wendy running at him. "Are you okay?" questioned the girl. Naruto just raised his hand and pat her head. "Just exhausted," he said as he saw Wendy perform a strange medical jutsu of shorts as his body slowly heals. "Wendy, how did you? I told you before, it's my clan's Kekkei Genkei," she stated as she finished healing him up. "I feel better now. Thanks, Wendy-chan," he grinned. "Can you also heal her, please?" he requested while pointing at the kunoichi. Wendy hesitated for a moment but nodded as she walks towards her and begins to heal her. "You know you should thank Naruto-san for this," Wendy told the Iwa kunoichi. "Why?" asked the confused Kuritsuchi. "Even we're enemies, even you hated us Konoha ninja. I couldn't blame you Iwa for your hatred," he answered as he looked at her as their eyes met. "Someday, before I became Hokage, I'll do something about your hatred. I'll end its cycle of hatred and revenge. I'll fulfill Jiraiya-sensei's dream of peace where we could just be comrades and not enemies." After Wendy is done healing her, she went back to Naruto to help him stand up just in time as two veteran shinobi arrived. A tall, spiky white-haired man landed behind Naruto and Wendy, while a big brawny man landed behind Kuritsuchi. "Kitsuchi, wasn't it?" asked Jiraiya. "Such an honor for the Toad Sage of Konoha to recognize me," replied Kitsuchi. "You know, if we found out this is a setup, Konoha will not take this lightly," Jiraiya warned. He picked up Naruto and Wendy as he bit his thumb and slamming his hand on the ground. "Gyakyu Kachiyose no Jutsu. Reverse summoning technique." They all disappeared in a puff of smoke. Kitsuchi let out a heavy sigh and picked her daughter up and whispered to himself, "Tusan, what will you do now?" Jiraiya has reverse summoned them somewhere in the forest, just a few miles away from town. "Wait, I know this place," said Naruto as he looked at the weirdly shaped building reminiscent of a cat with a native painting on its walls. He was pretty sure he has been here before but can't point out what. As they entered, he then spoke up. "Wait, this is the orphanage 3 years ago, Kate shelter, wasn't it?" "That means, Wendy?" he exclaimed as he looked at her. He then facepalmed himself for clearly forgetting. "So that's why you're familiar. Sorry I did not recognize you." "Wait, why didn't she recognize me?" he frantically screamed while Jiraiya picked his ear at how low the blonde was. "Because she's under genjutsu. Somehow her memories have been altered, and I have a feeling it's not just a coincidence that she just run into you," he explained as the Toad Sage dispelled the genjutsu at her. Kai. He knew that Naruto's level of genjutsu is close to non-existent, and the fox ain't helping Naruto either as it won't cooperate. "Huh? Where? Wait, Jiraiya-sama? Naruto-san?" She held her head as everything was returned to normal as Wendy's memories has been properly restored. "Naruto-san." Wendy let out a cry as she jumped at the blonde hugging him. Sorry I got you into this mess, she cried out. Naruto just smiled at her and patted her head. There. It's okay Wendy-chan, it's not your fault. Besides, sorry I don't recognized you immediately and took me long enough to recognize you. He gave an apologetic look. Wendy, could you tell us what happened? Asked Jiraiya as Wendy timidly nodded. Anyo, a week ago a group of Iwa shinobis came here looking for Rubol-sensei. I overheard them saying that they would adopt the last orphan for a huge amount of ryo. Rubol-sensei keeps rejecting them but the ninja is persistent. And then, Wendy's eyes begin to water as she continued. Then, they've attacked our Rubol-sensei and tried to take me by force, then. Rubol-sensei used his remaining powers to let me escape. It was the last thing I remembered, cried Wendy as she explained what happened. Wendy, can I ask you to testify all of it? Jiraiya said while the blonde is comforting the girl. Wendy just gave him a weak nod. The old sage then took out a scroll and began to write detailed report on the events that recently happened. This evidence isn't sufficient enough, stated the sage as Naruto remembered something. Oh wait, I accidentally got this while fighting. Naruto proceeded to took out something from the pocket of his jacket and gave it to his sensei. Perfect, grinned Jiraiya as he sealed the message along with the item in the scroll. He didn't know how the blonde got it but the Sannin didn't question it either as I don't know too, maybe plot hole or something. The old sage then summoned a messenger toad. Deliver this immediately to Lady Tsunade. The messenger toad then disappeared in poof of smoke. Well brat, it looks like we're gonna stay here a little bit longer until you're healed up, Jiraiya said as the blonde let out a sigh. We're leaving once you're fully recovered. Wait, what about Wendy? He asked his master. Huh? There's another orphanage in town that will take her. Jiraiya was pretty sure there was an orphanage. What? No way, what if something like this happened again? Naruto disagreed. He was concerned for the well-being of Wendy as this happened because of him. Plus they already knew each other from 3 years ago, which he just remembered now. Then what are you suggesting to do with the brat? You brat, said Jiraiya as he crossed his arms but was shocked as to what Naruto told the girl next. Nay, Wendy-chan, do you want to come with us instead? Naruto asked the girl. Wendy's eyes showed happiness at what she heard, which she nods. Hold on, what do you mean she'll come with us? I got a handful of a loud-mouthed brat. I ain't taking another one. Jiraiya said as he crossed his arms again, though he knew that Naruto is more of a brat than the younger brat. Then she'll stay with me back home. I'll take responsibility of it. I promise dat bayo. Naruto pleaded with a fox-like grin. Jiraiya looked at them both. He saw how serious Naruto is, and he saw Wendy making a cute pretty please face that melted his heart. Fine, the girl can come. You'll have to explain all of this to Lady Tsunade. The Sannin let out a sigh of defeat. Now he had 2 brats to take care of. Lucky for him the girl is more mature than his brat. Besides, who could say no to a cute girl like Wendy? Ya hear that, Wendy-chan? You're coming with us, dat bayo, exclaimed the blonde with joy as he picks the girl up and spins her around out of his excitement. Itai, his fatigue showed up of a sudden. Quiet down, Naruto. Even in your state, you're still full of energy, Jiraiya scolded his apprentice as he smacked the back of his head. Naruto rubbed the back of his head while glaring at his sensei, but it died down as he knew he needed some rest. Jiraiya was planning on resting a few days at least, as all of them are tired. He was planning on staying a few days in a famous hot spring nearby, which he think is perfect as the blonde is tired so there's no disturbances during his research. Location: Hokage Tower, Konohagakure. Konoha, the village of the Land of Fire, and the most powerful out of the 5 great shinobi countries. Konoha is surrounded deep within a forest, and at the mountain inside its huge walls is its famous Hokage monument, which has the current and previous Hokage engraved over it. Close to the Hokage monument is the Hokage Tower. Like all other leading villages, it is where the Kage resides and where they work. A message to Lady Tsunade. A messenger toad summoned into the office and gave it to a busty blonde woman with brown eyes and her bangs framing her face with the rest is tied back into a ponytail. Her notable feature is her diamond marking on her forehead, and her 106 cm bust which is recorded by a certain Sannin. She wore a gray kimono blouse held by a dark-colored obi with matching dark pants, and a green haori over her kimono with the kanji, gamble, written on the back. What's this? Tsunade analyzed the content of the scroll as she picked up an Iwagakure headband sealed inside of it. She began reading the contents of the scroll. Part by part she grips the scroll till it was crumpled as information went through her head. Tsunade let her anger out and smashed the scroll into her desk, splitting her desk into halves as all paperwork scattered everywhere. Shizune, get back here this instant. A raven-haired kunoichi who looks identical to Kuritsuchi entered, who could be mistaken as twins, clone, or maybe a possible relative or something, except she's wearing a black kimono with white trimmings held by a white obi. What is it, Lady Tsunade? She barged into the office. Did I missed something? She asked as Shizune noticed the mess inside the office. She knew immediately that something has pissed of her Hokage. I see, that's why Jiraiya-sama and Naruto-kun haven't arrived yet, Shizune said as Tsunade explained minor details as she organized the papers and scrolls that are scattered 30 minutes ago. During these past few minutes Tsunade told her assistant everything she read on the scroll while writing down a formal message on a scroll that needs to be delivered. Tsunade felt like beating two known idiots as soon as possible. Can't wait for both of you to return. I'll save a special place for you idiots. Anyway, Shizune, has Kakashi's team left already? Asked the blonde Hokage, clearly changing the subject as there are other matters that needed to be discussed. Yes, Tsunade-sama, Kakashi and Sakura has already left 3 hours ago accompanied by Gaara's older sister, Temari, her assistant or babysitter replied. Yesterday they received emergency news that Sanakagure was attacked by 2 Akatsuki members, and the Kazugaki was kidnapped. Konoha has sent Kakashi and Sakura to help as them. According to Suna, the puppet master Kankuro has been poisoned and Sakura might be able to extract the poison out of him, since for the last 2.5 years Sakura trained under the best medical ninja in the whole continent. As Shizune debriefed her Hokage about the status report of Kakashi's team, Tsunade took out a lottery paper. She scratched a lottery lotto and she won 10 million yen. Instead of being happy about it, she felt the opposite, as she knew this is bad omen, as knowing her luck, she knew something bad will happen. Who are the available teams right now? She said, as Shizune questioned. Is there something wrong, Tsunade-sama? Nothing, just a feeling that something bad might happen. Tsunade starts to pour some sake to clearly try to forget this situation at all, or to clear her mind. She knew things will get worse from now on and she needs to clear her mind to temporarily forget all of this. Let's see here. Guy's team is available, Shizune said while checking on other available team as well, but there's none for the moment. Alright, have them ready and send them as backup to Team Kakashi ASAP, ordered the now getting drunk Hokage as she clapped her hand at the word, ASAP. Right, I'll get them immediately. Don't get too drunk, Tsunade-sama, I'll be back immediately. Shizune then went out to find Team Guy for a new mission. Tsunade want to be left alone, especially knowing her babysitter assistant might confiscate her remaining hidden sake that she will drink now after she's gone. While pouring another sake, she summoned a messenger slug. This is for the Tsuchikage, bring it to the old man immediately. Tsunade ordered as the messenger slug popped out of existence to deliver a diplomatic message to the Tsuchikage. She knew this will cause her problems later, especially discussing matters to the council, which will probably lead to a disagreement, especially to bandaged old Warhawk. The 3 of them are currently staying at the hotel. Naruto is currently resting as the blonde is exhausted from his battle and continues usage of chakra by training the past few days. It will take a few days for him to regain all his chakra, as he have a massive amount of reserves out of them 3. Wendy is currently tending some bruise of Naruto as she knows basic knowledge of medical jutsu. Meanwhile, Jiraiya felt a shiver down his spine as an image of a certain big-bust blonde Hokage popped out of his mind. I think staying here for a while is the right choice, he muttered to himself as his gut tells him something bad will happen if they wear at Konoha now or soon. Sometimes it's better to trust your gut feelings, as it can save you at times, which he learned from experience. Now he have a few days to rest, and the Sanin is thinking about going to the hotel bathhouse later for research purposes. After all, it was the reason why he specifically chose this hotel that they're currently staying in. There's also a bar nearby which he have connection for information around, so it's a plus and a win-win. A black crow suddenly appeared in front of the hotel window and tapped the glass 3 times, which got the attention of Jiraiya. As Jiraiya opened the window, the crow flew in and landed on the table. Jiraiya noticed that there's a tiny scroll tied into the feet of the crow which he knew is intel regarding the Akatsuki. Whoever is sending him this anonymous information for the past 3 years is really helpful. He speculates that it's either there is someone gathering intel like him about the Akatsuki or there is a spy inside the criminal organization that leaks intel. Whoever this person is, he is thankful as he or she is leaking accurate information that seems to help Naruto and Konoha. As Jiraiya read the contents of the scroll, his eyes widen as the Akatsuki has already planned to move earlier than expected. So they already captured the Ichibi Jinchuriki, huh? Naruto will certainly not like this. He scratched his chin thinking whether to tell his apprentice about this news or not. If he told him, he knew Naruto will intercept his friend, and if he didn't tell him, then Naruto will bitch out not helping his friend, especially if he did nothing to save his friend. I'll probably tell him tomorrow. It's getting late already and Naruto needs some rest. Besides, Kukuku, my pervy sense is tingling. He knew that telling Naruto is for the best, and it will stall the Akatsuki's plan on capturing the tailed beast. He also knew that the message of this unknown informant wants to stop the group, as there are also information of the abilities of 2S rank criminals who captured Tsuna's Jinchuriki. But right now his mind is clouded with woman, as he could sense naked woman bathing already. Location: Tsuchikage Tower, Iwagakure. Onoki is not in a good mood as everything backfired. Yesterday, he received the status report of the S-class mission to capture Konoha's Jinchuriki led by his son's team. Especially report that the son of the Yellow Flash dealt with 24 of Anbu and went out unscratched. Not only that, but Kitsuchi failed to stop Kuritsuchi in making this situation worse. But the most worse of all is how Kuritsuchi is badly beaten. She is after all one of the elite and next in line to become Tsuchikage. His granddaughter is currently staying at the hospital to recover along with the 2 teams that is dispatched. While doing paperwork and discussing events with Kitsuchi, his assistant, Akatsuchi, entered with an unfortunate expression. Onoki was wondering what could make this usual cheerful man have a dull expression on his face. It's very unlikely to his usual jolly or lively mood. Is there something wrong, Akatsuchi? He questioned Akatsuchi. Akatsuchi is a big man. His structure can be compared to an Akamichi from Konoha. He have a matching black eyes and hair that is slicked back by a red bandana forehead protector. He wore a standard Iwagakure Jonin outfit, and he also wear a yellow scarf wrapped around his neck. Akatsuchi then walked to Onoki and handed him the scroll. This came in just now. Onoki analyzed the scroll, which is a diplomatic scroll that usually came from high official of a country like a Kage or a daimyo, and he was pretty sure that he wasn't expecting any message from the Earth daimyo at the moment. He already got a hunch where the scroll came from. He was right as he read the inscription, "From Hokage," on it. As he read the contents of the message, his mood went from bad to worse as Onoki massaged his head from the headache while reading. Inside the message is a detailed report, statement and evidences that Iwagakure purposely attacked Konoha's Jinchuriki. There is a testification that came from a certain blue-haired girl that indicates she was put under genjutsu by Iwa shinobi to purposely lure Konoha's Jinchuriki to their borders. There is also a Iwagakure headband as evidence that he recognized it belonged to his granddaughter. It also states that the Kunoichi pursued Konoha's Jinchuriki out of their jurisdiction. Let me guess, it's message from Konoha, isn't it? Stated Kitsuchi as he saw his father's expression ain't going well. The Hokage is demanding a compensation as collateral for attacking their Jinchuriki. To make matters worse, if we ain't cooperating, the Hokage will discuss with their council and might decide to take this situation as an act of war. Onoki gritted his teeth in rage while shouting the last part. He knew how important Jinchuriki is in each village, as it is their ultimate weapon of the 5 great nation, and he knew that the council will not take this lightly. Onoki knew if Tsunade discuss this with their council, there's a high probability of invoking a war if he won't cooperate. He also knew Tsunade doesn't give a fuck, and she ain't like the 3rd Hokage that will let this go for peace, and according to their resource, the Hokage and the son of the Yellow Flash have a close relationship. What would you do now? Will you comply to their demands? Questioned Kitsuchi as he was curious. What? Of course not. That gambler is demanding 1 billion yen. And worst of all, she's demanding at least 10 of our S-class jutsu. She also wants this by tomorrow. The Tsuchikage shouted in rage as he threw the scroll to a shelf as it fell down. 1 billion yen doesn't matter to him as it's just a tiny fraction of a country's budget, but 10 of their own S-class jutsu is more important as it's their village weapon and it cost almost 1 billion yen each. He ain't handing their weapons as it will increase their rivals' military strength. 1 billion yen equals 10 mil USD, 100 yen equals 1 United States dollar. We have no choice on this matter, Dad. Kitsuchi raised his voice and composed himself before he spoke again. It's either we comply or we go to war with them. You knew how war will affect both parties, right? He more likely stated. He knew that Konoha is not asking too much, and if war outbroke it will left their village a greater damage than sacrificing some of their own jutsu. Onoki put his chin and rested on both of his hands. As much as he don't want to let Konoha get more powerful, he knew his son is right and so he let out a sigh and pondered on what to do as alternative. Meanwhile Akatsuchi fixed the shelf that has fallen a while ago and placed back all scroll that were scattered along. While placing all scrolls back he noticed a dusted old scroll that seemed of importance and picked it up. Tsuchikage-sama, this scroll is supposed to be sent to Konoha a decade ago. It says here it's supposed to be sent to the Yondaime Hokage, stated Akatsuchi. This piqued up Onoki's interest as Akatsuchi now handed another diplomatic scroll that is stored in a shelf for a very long time. Let me see that, Onoki said. He opened the scroll as he reads what's inside of it. It's about a political agreement between Minato and him that they made months before the Yondaime died, and lucky for him, the agreement is still valid up to date. This is just what we need. How come I forgot about it? Chuckled Onoki as he questioned himself. He was supposed to send this to Konoha but there was a complication that happened to the Yondaime so he wasn't able to send it and just stored it into a shelf until he forgot about it until now. Let me see that, said Kitsuchi as Onoki handed him the scroll. What? I ain't agreeing with this. Kitsuchi disagreed as Onoki replied. But you agreed to it more than a decade ago, and besides if we sent this, Konoha has no choice but to accept it. That was a long time. Things have changed right now. Kitsuchi retorted. He may agreed to it a decade ago but he knew things are different now. Yes, I know, but this agreement is still valid and we can use this to force Konoha into a peace treaty. It's better than giving away our secrets and going to war. Besides, we already agreed to it last time so why not now, Onoki retorted back. Fine, but you know Kuretsuchi will not love this, grunted Kitsuchi as he finally agreed. I know, but don't tell her the real reason behind it, she'll go crazy if you told her the truth. Tell her this is her punishment for going overboard and refusing to cooperate when she attacked Konoha's Jinchuriki. Onoki levitated to level his son's height as he explained. With that Kitsuchi bowed and left to inform her daughter on what will happen now. What's in the scroll that will make Kuretsuchi mad, Gigi? Said Akatsuchi as he noticed Onoki is writing a formal message. That will be a S-class secret that you should not know. Besides your cousin has no choice in this matter, replied Onoki. 2 hours have passed as Onoki is now done writing and revising his reply to Tsunade's message along with inserting the agreement he has done with Minato on a scroll. Alright Akatsuchi, send this to the Hokage immediately. This should arrive to her by tomorrow, instructed the old Kage as Akatsuchi saluted. Hi Tsuchikage-sama, he cheerfully agreed as the big man left. Onoki then levitated to the windows and looked directly at the hospital. He knew by right now Kitsuchi should be at the hospital by this hour and is now telling his granddaughter the good news. What THEEFUUUCCCKKKKK? Exclamation mark quote. A high-pitched chakra-infused scream that echoed from the hospital and can be heard from a couple of miles away. Birds can be seen flocking away from the source of the scream and it scared the shit out of those birds. Onoki knew it was Kuretsuchi who shouted, and he just chuckled at her reaction and want to see it now but clearly can't as he needs to finish a tower of paperwork. Onoki then went back to his chair and grumbled. Damn paperworks. A blonde woman who is wearing a green haori with a kanji, gamble, on the back is seen slacking off in a casino playing on a slot machine. As she turned the knob her eyes widen as she won with 3777, and now she's expecting for terrible news. Could this day get any worse, she muttered to herself as she remembered what happened yesterday. There you are Hokage-sama, I've been looking everywhere for you. You have a set of responsibilities you know, a certain Kuretsuchi look-alike scolded. Can you give this woman a break? I already finished all paperwork last night, grunted Tsunade while she collected her price. Being Hokage is no joke as you're responsible for the welfare of your country. It's a tougher job than a daimyo whose only role is a political figure and managing the civilian side of the country. The only reason she accepted it is because of Naruto, and the council will pay all her large sum of debt. No, you can't. You have already had your break yesterday, she said as she remembered when she returned back to the office she found Tsunade drunk at her desk while doing paperwork. At least she's doing her job though, but drunk. As much as Shizune wants to slack off, she can't, as being a medic at a hospital and an assistant for the Hokage is a though job with rare breaks. Let's go back to the office already, you had enough. As she noticed there's a glass of sake on the slot machine. After returning back from her break, she sat down on her chair and put her chin on both of her hands. Alright, what is it? I know you have something for me. It was a statement rather than a question. Shizune raised her brow at this. How did you know? She asked as she handed something to the blonde. Just a hunch, Tsunade replied as she already expected it. First of all, she won, which means something will happen, and second, she's expecting today a reply from Iwagakure. She already opened the scroll and expecting something she don't want to expect. She continued to read the contents as she chuckled, hee 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 hee. Damn you Onoki, you old rock, and damn Minato who agreed to this. Tsunade laugh, it's a laugh of misfortune. What is it, Tsunade-sama? Is there something wrong? Shizune asked as she was handed the agreement done by the Yondaime Hokage and the Tsuchikage more than a decade ago. Oh wow, this is rather unexpected, stated Shizune. I can't believe the Yondaime signed this, although he had no choice but to sign it. You troublesome blondes who keeps giving me more headache, Tsunade said to herself as she remembered she's also blonde. Anyway, keep this a secret from now on. For now, I'll think of something else to tell him. She have no choice but to agree to it as there's a seal signed by her predecessor. Though the agreement is not a huge deal to her, it will bring her a lot of headache later on. For now she'll pass this headache to a certain blonde when you return back from training whom keeps giving her headache. Alright Naruto, we're dealing with 2 Akatsuki members here. According to my resource, we're dealing with long-range fighters. One is the known Mad Bomber from Iwa named Deidara, who specializes in air combat and uses clay bombs as his main, explained Jiraiya as both of them are hopping from trees to intercept Akatsukis in their hideouts. A day ago Jiraiya told Naruto the news that Akatsuki went on the move and the blonde didn't take it lightly, who almost lost control. Luckily, Jiraiya and Wendy were there to restrain him until the blonde calmed down. The other one is from Suna, the puppet master, Sasori of the Red Sand. He uses hundreds of puppets that are deadly and poisonous, continued the Sannin. Hey, isn't that Kakashi-sensei over there, and Sakura-chan? Naruto pointed out shinobis and a ninja dog from afar that they know. Kakashi didn't change much, so he could recognize the man already, but Sakura grew more mature, expect for the department. He could recognize that it's Sakura because of the bubblegum pink hair. Though he could not recognize the old lady that is running besides them. Hey, let's catch up to them, maybe they're here to save Gaara also, Naruto excitedly said as he speeds up. He was shocked and excited as he haven't seen his teammates for almost 3 years already. Gah, wait up you damn brat, shouted Jiraiya as Naruto already zoomed towards their allies. He was carrying a dragon slayer, soon to be Kunoichi, who have motion sickness. He wasn't going too fast as he doesn't want to be vomited by the girl he's carrying. Yo, said Naruto as he catches up to his former teammates while mimicking Kakashi's greetings. Huh, what? Naruto, is that you? Said Sakura, wide eyes as she recognized the bright yellow hair and whisker markings that only belonged to his teammate. What are you doing here? And shouldn't you supposed to be back at Konoha a week ago? Sakura was Naruto's teammate before he embarked on a training trip. She has a fair skin, emerald green eyes, and short pink hair with split bangs that revealed her forehead. She wore a sleeveless red top, dark biker shorts with a shuriken holster at her right thigh, and a light pink apron skirt over her shorts. She also wore knee-high boots, combat gloves, pink elbow protectors, and her red hite-8 is tied to her hair similar to a headband. First of all, Ero Sennin and I are here for Gaara. Second, we had a little detour, but I'll tell you everything after we're done, explained Naruto cheekily as he scratches his cheeks. Oh hey Kakashi-sensei, you haven't changed at all, remarked Naruto as Kakashi gave him a greeting in the form of an eye smile. Yo! Kakashi was the team leader of Team 7 that consists of Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke. Kakashi has a spiky gravity-defying silver hair, dark eyes with his left eye is covered by his forehead protector as a makeshift eye patch. He also wore standard Konoha Jonin uniform that consists of matching dark blue pants with a shuriken holster tied to his left thigh and long-sleeve shirt. Over the shirt is the standard military green flag jacket. He also wore a black mask that covers below his face from the nose up to his neck. He also wore fingerless combat gloves. Ma, you have quite grown taller, Naruto, especially now that you're taller than Sakura, Kakashi commented as he eyed the blonde, noticing that Naruto is 5 centimeters taller than Sakura, whose height is at 161 centimeters. Huh? Come to think of it, you're right. Didn't expect you to grow taller than me. Also, you gained quite a muscle too, said Sakura. 3 years ago, Naruto was the shortest of the three, probably the shortest in his class, and is a bit malnourished back then due to lack of nutrition from being an orphan and an outcast. Now, Naruto grew more than 10 centimeters and gained some muscles and weight thanks to his added diet and training. Damn brat, stop leaving us behind. Jiraiya caught up with them as his eyebrows knitted inwardly, giving the blonde a glare. Us, both Kakashi and Sakura was confused as they looked at the Sannin. Both of them noticed that the Toad Sennin is carrying a blue-haired girl. Kakashi raised his eyebrows and asked, Jiraiya-sama, who's the girl behind your back? And is it alright for the girl to tag along with us? This is a very dangerous mission. Nah, don't worry Kakashi, you guys are enough to deal with 2 Akatsuki members while I'll protect the kid. And for your first question, well, it's kind of a long story, the Toad Sennin replied. It was a fair enough answer that the Scarecrow accepted. While nearing at the cave where the extraction is being held, Jiraiya heard the cries of birds above, where he looked and noticed a familiar black crows with unusual movement. Strange, a flock of crows usually flew within distance from each other. Naruto, Kakashi, there's something I need to check out, it's important. Go on ahead, I'll catch up again later, Jiraiya said as Naruto gazed upon his sensei. He noticed the man has this serious look on his face. He didn't bother asking as he just gave him a nod of agreement. After the Sannin left out the group, Kakashi's party then arrived in an open field and stopped as they noticed a man wearing a familiar black cloak with red cloud patterns that belonged to the S-Class organization. The man is fairly tall with raven-colored hair that is tied into a low ponytail. He has matching black eyes that turned and glowed red with 3 tomos. His headband had a slash across, signifying that the man is a missing nin. Uchiha Itachi, Naruto whispered as his whole face grimaced as his eyes leered at the man, knowing who he is and what he has done. Everyone, don't look directly at his eyes, Kakashi warned his group as he noticed the man has his Sharingan on. He knew how dangerous the ocular power of the Dujutsu. Everyone, I'll deal with him head-on, so you guys cover for me. Kakashi raised his own forehead protector, revealing his own matured Sharingan. I'll go first. Kakashi then charged towards the missing nin with Naruto, Sakura, and Chiyo as support. It has been an hour as Jiraiya left the group, and right now the Sannin is trailing the flock of crows that he saw earlier. On his back is Wendy, who is currently unconscious as the girl was put under genjutsu by the Sannin to make the girl asleep. Jiraiya stopped his track as the flock of crow gathered into one, forming a man in front of him. Uchiha Itachi, said the Sannin as his eyes studied the man in front of him. Never expected that more from your group has appeared. Perhaps my informant gave less information. Jiraiya then formed a clone as the clone grabbed the unconscious girl from him and took the girl away from somewhere safe just in case things goes rough. Itachi simply stared at the man in front of him with a natural stoic expression that is common among the Uchihas. Jiraiya, Toad Sage of Mount Myoboku, and the master of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. It was unexpected for you to provide as backup, yet alone followed me here. You truly worthy of the title Spymaster. Your intel must be truly reliable for you to track down the location within a day, the missing nin said. The Sannin listened to what Itachi said as he gave the man his reply. Indeed, I trust this informant of mine that keeps me tracks of your organization's movement. After all, my informant has already planned ahead for me, except meeting you here. This informant of yours seems reliable, except I already planned ahead more than what your intel could provide. and for what I have planned is to stall you here just enough for the Ichibi to be extracted," Itachi said, flaring his eyes as his onyx-colored eyes turned blood red, a Sharingan activated. Both men narrowed their eyes on one another. It was silent as both are calculating each other. Itachi just stands there, letting the wind blow his bangs. Jiraiya reached the back of his pouch, as he prepared for a stance. Kaden. Gokakyu no Jutsu. Fire release. Fireball Jutsu, shouted the missing nin as he sends a large ball of fire twice the size of a human at Jiraiya. Itachi watches as the Sannin tanked the attack. He narrowed his eyes as the flames died down, revealing the Sannin is wrapped around his white hair that serves as armor. Jiraiya's hair returned back to normal and the Sannin proceed into a low stance. Hari Jigoku, Needle Hell, shouted Jiraiya as he shoots out a barrage of hardened hair needle towards the Uchiha. The Sannin watched as Itachi got impaled by Senbon-like hair but was popped out into smoke. A cage bunshin? Instincts kicked in as he senses the presence behind him. Jiraiya turns and sent a roundhouse kick which was blocked easily. He then followed it by a palm strike that Itachi blocked and redirected it away. Itachi used his other arm to counter into a strike aiming at his torso, which the Sannin parried and twisted his body around to use his mane as whip. Itachi dodged it thanks to the visual prowess of his eyes and launched back at the Sannin with a kunai. Both seasoned warriors continued to exchange a few attacks until the Uchiha turned into a flock of crows and shapeshift back again and is now hovering above him. Jiraiya molds chakra into his mouth while providing hand seals. Kaden. Enden. Fire release. Flame bullet. He sends out a large bullet of fire towards Itachi, a fire attack similar to the fireball earlier. Jiraiya once again saw Itachi turned into crows to dodge his attack while the crow flew right into him. Jiraiya shielded his face with his arm as the crow passed him. He then noticed that there are 3 Itachis circling him around. The Sannin took several kunai from his pouch as he threw it at the Itachis. He noticed all 3 of them turned into a crow once again to dodge the attack. Genjutsu, he thought, as it's the only explanation he could think of on how the Uchiha's jutsu works. Itachi noticed that the Sannin dispelled his demonic illusion as the Sannin several meters away from him peered into him, knowing that he's the original and not a mere illusion. He saw the Sannin grabbed a shuriken and threw it at him. Itachi then dodged 3 shurikens thrown at him while waving a set of hand seals and shouted. Suiden. Suiryuden no Jutsu. Water release. Water Dragon Jutsu. A water taking shape and movement of a dragon was shot toward the Sannin. Itachi then saw the Sannin bit his thumb as he slammed it into the ground. Kachiyose no Jutsu. Jiraiya summoned a battle toad as he lands on top of it while waving a set of hand signs, shouting. Kaden. Gamayu Enden. Fire release. Toad oil flame bullet. He performed a cooperation jutsu with the toad as he ignites the oil spilled out from the toad, delivering an attack much more powerful than his previous one. Both of their massive attacks collided as both jutsu cancelled each other, creating a mist that covered the battlefield. Itachi took this opportunity to silently stalk the Sannin. As he gets closer to him, he heard the Sannin spoke up. I heard that pretty eyes of yours is the same as the wicked eye, Fugaku. He knew that the spymaster is in front of him despite the mist. Why don't you show me on whose eyes are more powerful? Very well. Jiraiya saw in the mist a red glow until a few mists cleared away his view and saw a 3-tomo Sharingan evolved into a 3-bladed shuriken pattern. He noticed that the surrounding has changed. The sky is a bit dark red, the environment seemed a bit dry, and there's nothing else in there besides the known 2 shinobis who were fighting a while ago. It only means one thing. Genjutsu. Tell me, Itachi, what is the real reason you killed your clan and defect Konoha? Who are you really affiliated with? As the rumors said, it is to test my powers. I joined the Akatsuki merely to get stronger and test the capabilities of my eyes, Itachi replied blankly. Jiraiya narrowed his eyes. He doesn't seem to buy Itachi's reasoning. A missing nin affiliated with the terrorist group that anonymously provide me information. Furthermore, that this nin hesitates to kill his brother for unknown reason. That doesn't fit the whole from what I understand. Itachi sights and closes his eyes as he compensates for a moment before finally telling him. Very well, Jiraiya-sama, if you wish to know the truth behind the Uchiha massacre, then I'll show you. Jiraiya saw what happened. His eyes widened in shock at as was under the village's orders. He saw how the Uchiha was planning a revolt against Konoha, and it was Itachi who stopped a possible civil war in the Land of Fire. In exchange for stopping a revolt, he was branded a missing nin and all he asked was to spare his brother. I can't believe that the village did that. I suspect it has something to do with Danzo, Jiraiya hissed at the mention of the name. He doesn't trust the old war hawk as the man is full of secrecy and is always opposed to the Third's ideals. Sensei will surely doesn't want this to happen as the Uchiha is among the pioneers of the village. Itachi sighs remembering how the warhawk used him. Yes, this was Danzo's doing, but it doesn't matter anymore. What's done in the past is done. I see, so you joined the Akatsuki in order to held them off the village. Correct, but that's not all to it. What do you mean? Questioned the Sannin as the Uchiha replied. From what you know is that the Akatsuki is gathering all bijus, is it correct? I was aware of that, it's to use that power to rule the elemental nation. Correct again, but there's more to it. The Akatsuki's goal is to rule with fear using the ultimate weapon, and that weapon is not the 9 bijus but the combination of all bijus turning them into one entity, creating of what the legend called, the Jubi, a mindless unstoppable beast of destruction. Itachi explained as he watched Jiraiya take in this information. I did what I can to stall their plan of world domination, but it seems like this is the farthest I can hold them back. Right now, your apprentice along with his group failed to save the case cage, he stated sadly as the S-class group successfully extracted the Ichibi. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki is strong, stronger than expected, but it isn't enough to protect himself, he haven't mastered its powers yet, he warned the Sannin. Jiraiya was in thought, this was more troublesome than before. If this organization got hands on that kind of power then the whole world will be forced to bow down in fear, and the worst case scenario is that the elemental nation might be destroyed. And in order to stop this organization they need to take down its members one by one, especially the leader, but there's only little intel that he could gather about their leader. Itachi, what could you tell me about this leader of yours? Jiraiya interviewed the man. He saw Itachi sigh again as it doesn't sound good. For years as I watch the organization grow, there's little I can gather about the leader. Our leader rarely goes out and usually stayed inside the hideout protected by bodies. Leader Sama, as what we call him, has mysterious abilities that he has yet shown to us. He let out a pause before he continued again. All I can say is that he is far powerful than us, he has eyes that surpasses of an Uchiha. This is more troublesome than I thought it would be. This is a lot to take in, grunted Jiraiya with an sour expression. There is a spy watching this so I have one last thing I need to tell you as I don't have time anymore, they already are suspicious of me already. Alright then, tell me the bad news, stated Jiraiya, he already had the gut feeling. There's more than meets the eye. The leader is just a puppet, the true mastermind works behind the scene letting Leader Sama act as the mastermind. The real leader is very powerful. He's the one who helped me orchestrate the massacre, and let me tell you about him. Don't let him fool you. The real leader is the one our members who you least to expect him to be. Farewell Jiraiya-sama, till we meet again, Itachi said as he disappeared as the environment returned to normal. Jiraiya noticed that he was no longer in Genjutsu and noticed the mist is gone along with the missing nen. From what he learned, he now needs to step up Naruto's training if he's gonna face a bigger threat than expected. He was deep in thought once again and process all the information Itachi said. So there is another leader. Damn it, he could just tell me a name. In a faraway view, a plant-like human creature wearing an Akatsuki robe was watching the whole fight between Itachi and Jiraiya. He was asked by a soon-to-be member of the group, a man named Tobi, to watch the movement of one of their members, and from what the plant creature has seen there's nothing suspicious that he could report back as everything went smoothly. It has been a few days already after the Konoha ninja defeated 2 members of the terrorist organization, and now we see our blonde hero walking in a forest in the Land of Fire back to Konoha along with another group with an eccentric leader wearing a green spandex suit under his Junin vest with his forehead protector acting as a belt. He also has leg warmers with weights attached to it. This other group captain has a black eyes and black bowl-cut hairstyle and a bushy eyebrows. His name is Might Guy, team leader of Team Guy. Over Guy's back is Kakashi, being carried as the man is exhausted from his battle, especially using the Mangekyo Sharingan. I can't believe Kakashi-sensei have the same eyes as Itachi, remarked Naruto, as he remembered when they were fighting Deidara. Naruto blew up Deidara's claybird. He was able to mark him with a Hiraishin tag in his arm. Kakashi blew the man's arm off using one of its abilities called Kamui. After Deidara's arm was blown up, Naruto blew the missing nin's other arm with a Rasengan by using the seal to flash to him. This eventually causes Deidara to taunt Naruto to be enraged after the blonde saw the lifeless body of his friend, Gaara. This response causes Naruto to transform into tailed beast mode, but luckily Kakashi was able to repress it with a seal before Naruto lose control. After finally calming down, Deidara denotates himself, but Kakashi was able to teleport everyone, including Team Guy, away from the blast radius. After that, Jiraiya arrived. Gaara was revived by Chiyo, which she used a forbidden method in exchange for her life. The group stayed for a day to attend her funeral before they went back home. Hey, I just noticed something. You guys have those vests that higher ranks wear. Naruto pointed all his friends' green flag jacket with a hint jealousy. All of Konoha 11 was promoted to Chunin some time ago during your training trip, and Neji here is promoted to Junin, replied the only girl member of Team Guy named Tenten. Tenten have black hair tied and brown eyes. Her hair is tied into two Chinese-style buns that will remind you of a panda. She also wears a black headband protector. Her outfit consists of white Chinese-style long-sleeve shirt with maroon trimmings, and matching maroon pants. Over her back is a large scroll that is filled with various weapons that she brings when they're on a mission. Aw man, and here I thought we guys would be promoted together again this time. Damn Pedamaru ruining our Chunin exam years ago. Naruto slouched forward with sadness as he thought he would be promoted with his friends together this time. Last Chunin exam he was supposed to be promoted as he was one of the finalists, but shit happened so he lost his chance. If I remembered correctly, Sasuke is still a genin along you as he defected to Orochimaru. That leaves you both as the only genin among our batch, remarked the stoic Hyuga with their Naruto stoic expression that rivaled the Uchiha. Neji is a member of Team Guy, and a prodigy of the Hyuga clan. He is a fair-skinned man with a silky long black hair with a strand of hair that framed each side of his face. His eyes are white with a tint of lavender that every Hyuga has, as it is their clan's dujutsu. Neji wore a white kimono shirt with long loose sleeve, a matching pants, a gray apron tied to his waist, and a black shinobi sandal. Neji also have his clan's curse mark seal in his forehead that is covered by his Hite 8. Don't worry Naruto-kun, I'm sure you will be able to catch up. I can see you've had gotten stronger for the last 3 years. Lee cheered his friend, giving Naruto a known, nice guy, pose, doing a thumbs up and a smile that seems to shine. Rock Lee is the last member of Team Guy. He is a carbon copy of their sensei Might Guy in terms of outfits, hairstyle, and bushy brows. The only difference is his really round eyes and his prominent lower eyelashes. Thanks Lee, Naruto was back to his usual demeanor as he noticed a giant wall and big gate in front of him. Naruto smiled, knowing where he is right now, with a bunch of nostalgia in the air that he could feel. Naruto mustered up all fresh air and with a deep breath, he exhaled. Ah Konoha, it's finally good to be home. I wonder how much have changed. He gave a smile as they now arrived at the gates. Yosh, don't worry Kakashi, we're already back, you can now recover yourself and rest. Guy went ahead along with his team. After they greeted the guards as Guy runs ahead towards the hospital while his team tries to catch up. Naruto could hear the eccentric man shouting, "Flames of youth," that echoes inside the village. Naruto, Sakura, Jiraiya and Wendy then walked towards the gate. Sakura gave their mission slip and greeted the guards, who then noticed Sakura's companion. Jiraiya-sama and Naruto? Wow, you're grown so much over the last years. You know the village is much more quiet without you here. We miss your pranks, it's much more boring around lately. The Chunin guard named Katetsu said while his partner Azumo nodded. They are often seen doing guard duties or assisting the Hokage. So who's your guest over there? Azumo pointed out the blue-haired girl besides Naruto. Hi, my name is Wendy, Wendy Marvell. It's a pleasure to meet you. Wendy greeted politely and bowed down. She will be living here at Konoha. She'll be staying at my home, said Naruto. Living with you? I hope you learn from her, the kid has more manners than you. They all chuckled at the guard's comment, much to Naruto's amusement as he just laughed it off. While they're all laughing, a foreign kunoichi then walks towards the guard. Excuse me, I'm here to see your Hokage. Oh sorry, do you have an appointment to the Hokage? asked Izumo as the kunoichi gave him a scroll. I'm here on behalf of Iwa. The guard read the scroll and asked for an verification. May I see your registration please, asked the guard as the kunoichi gave her ninja registration ID which Izumo and Kotetsu verified. Alright. Welcome to Konoha Kuritsuchi-san. Enjoy your stay. Naruto heard the word Iwa as he remembered a week ago on the events that have happened. He look over at kunoichi the guards is talking to as his eyes widen. He stretch out his arms while pointing at her comically while shouting. Hey, I know you. You're the one who attacked me. The Shizune look-alike leaned over at the familiar voice that is calling her. Her jaw dropped and she returned the gesture the blonde is doing at her, pointing at him accusingly. You, I know you. You're the one who did this to me. Both guards look at each other with their single eyebrows raised. They then look at the duo and their antics. It looks like things are getting interesting from now on.
That's all for now. If you enjoy this video, then please like, share and do comments.